first meeting of 2026 for the Board of Selectmen on January 12th, and we should all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know. I don't get the worst. Okay, so we will be starting with public audience. Everybody has 5 minutes. Tom will be our,
I didn't sign in, but I'm talking.
I will put you down then. Tom will be our gatekeeper. I'm transitioning so we can pay attention. And on the first name, I can't read your name, but you're from 23 Old Farms Road. What is your name?
George Paul.
George Paul.
Mr. Paul, how are
And
you?
you'll have to say that up there anyway, so. And we were handed a document.
I handed out some documents that I did before. I'm talking tonight for 2 reasons. One,
Oh, could everybody, you guys, could you pay attention and
on
please?
the agenda, that's one of the issues I'm gonna bring up later. I'm on the agenda because I want to give a shout out to the people in the tax collector office. The 3 ladies there presented them with an impossible problem with the Department of Motor Vehicles, which I tried to solve many hours, and they did it for me in about 15 minutes. So I shout out to the people in the tax office. Now, the reason I'm here tonight, I believe you were given some misinformation in the first meeting in December about public speak. I passed out to all the members of the board a copy from the Institute of Constitutional Authority Protection from Georgetown Law, which is considered the preeminent authority on free speech. I'm going to go over some of the topics real quickly. Can government limit the topics to be discussed at public meetings? The answer is yes. And they can restrict the discussion to whatever they want as long as there's no interference based on topics that are reasonable. And in other words, you can't have someone talk about something because they're black or the white or the green or whatever. Now, the second thing is the other constitutional limits on speaking in public meetings is you guys can limit to the topics that you want them to talk about, which is normally the agenda on the meeting, not something else that someone has to be in their bonded for, okay? The time limits, limit of 3 to 5 minutes per speaker has generally been upheld as constitutional. Restriction on loud or disruptive speech. Courts have upheld officers' decisions to interrupt a speaker who refuses to abide by the time limit. Okay. Can governments prevent speakers from name calling or engaging in personal attacks? Here the answer is maybe. Then the district court has said, no, you can't. The district court has said yes. Someday that's going to go up to the Supreme Court and we'll have a definitive answer. And another question is, can governments limit speakers to residents of the locality? The main point is that if you so decide, you can limit legally speakers to talk about what's on the agenda. That's why I talk tonight, because I'm on the agenda. If you're not on the agenda, being on the agenda is not reading of the minutes, you're not technically. If you want to, you can prevent them from speaking, because they have other methods. They can talk to the local newspaper, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up I have on the list is Diane Nash.
Diane Nash, 5 Marywood, Simsbury. I should not be here tonight. I should be home following this meeting at the Board of Selectmen on SCTV with closed captions. I'm old. I had difficulty driving at night. I had difficulty hearing, but I'm here because my words to the public will not be heard if I am not standing here tonight. It will be read. It will be attached to the minutes. No one else will hear it. It may get to your mailboxes through the manager's mailbox in a timely manner. But nothing says it has to get here before you vote on something. So, tonight we're hearing a little bit about the 250th anniversary of our freedom of speech, our right to be able to be represented by the people we elect. And there's no way to communicate. There's no way to get in touch with the public. I looked at the new website. It's in the working, I get it. But I try to find the agenda. I try to find what does this mean in the agenda? Why do we have something on the agenda from the Advisory Housing Committee that was put together by management not to help Mark, new to this town, to find out how the system works. But they've set up a whole new advice to planning, zoning. I don't get it. And one thing that's on your agenda tonight is something about putting together preliminary plans. Should we sell public land? How are we gonna do it? That's like asking me to pick out what color I want to wear on my way to execution. Maybe we don't want to sell any of our public land. Why are we putting together a format to how to do this before we even decide whether it's something we want to do? So, somewhere between my begging you to listen, to hear, to make it easy for what the public has to say, to allow us to contact you directly through your emails rather than having to go through the manager's desk, and then our poor friend has to figure out how many emails Mark has to deal with before tonight's meeting to get to what we're saying to you in a timely manner. I would also ask everybody in the audience to get your neighbors, friends, everybody to pay attention to these meetings and what's going on in town. Because if you're just voting on a surface fact, don't. I'm gonna urge you guys, read all 59 pages of the Housing Advisory Committee report. Understand what's in it, how it's directing us as a town to deal with our housing, our changes in zoning that we should not be accepting because Hartford tells us things. We should find a way to make our regulations work well.
Thank you.
Please hear and listen.
Just for any confusion, just while we're here, there is a discussion from one of the recommendations from the housing policy, which I've been putting on agendas one at a time so we can discuss them. The wording that it states on the front page of the agenda and on the thing is really not really what the agenda item is for. It's really to revisit and talk about an abatement policy We have a current abatement policy for businesses, and it also came up as an abatement policy for housing in the SHPAC, and it's to relook at that abatement policy and to try to revise that to cover all aspects. So it's just clarifying, it's not about selling public land. I just wanted to put that out there, and then I will call up Susan Messino.
Happy New Year. Susan Messino, 41 Madison Lane. I wanted to let everyone know that the Grange has a whole series of events planned for America's 250th, and we're calling it our America the Beautiful 250th series. We have our regular events, and we've put kind of a 250th spin on some of the events. So next month for Music Monday, on the first Monday, we have singer, songwriter, and he's the regional head of Veterans Voices, Eddie Gautier, will be playing, and we have a number of old-timey things going on with that. We have a seed giveaway that's going to feature heirloom seeds on March 29th, and we have a number of movies coming up, co-sponsored with the Land Trust, and events. If you look on the library website, we have Joan Maloof from the Old Growth Forest Network will be on January 22nd. And we have a film on February 23rd called Old Growth Forest, Nature's Biotic Water Pump by the filmmaker at New England Forest. So I have copies for each of you of our little postcard for the first 6 months, and I'll pass them out to other people as well. Anyway, the other things I wanted to mention tonight, and I also sent you an email that I hope that you received. I know that we have the new website, and at last month you had said, oh, now you know how to contact people and all this kind of stuff. I didn't find any of that information on the website, and I thought it was already up there when it was brought up last month. And also, the calendar is really difficult to navigate now because it used to be a calendar format, which is something visually that people understand, and now it's a list. And I know it's a beta version, but there are some really serious problems. And I'd really suggest that you maybe consult the rules for like universal design and things like that of how to make information accessible to people. So this is just a consistent problem we've been having with meeting notices, postings. I noticed the mismatch between the agenda title and then the content. I didn't know what was going on with that. The last 3 open space meetings were not sent out on the listserv. The one that was canceled this past week was not sent out on the listserv. The Board of Finance public hearing on December 10th was not on the town calendar. I get people calling me all the time for over 2 years now consistently asking me what's going on because they can't find information. I started talking about this in September 2023. I've written, I've called, I've talked to people, I've said it at public meetings. As I've said before, don't know what else to do because this is basic stuff. If we can't keep people informed, which a democracy depends on an informed public, we shouldn't do anything else because you don't have any relationship with the town, which is the people, which is what we're supposed to be protecting here. So please, I'm like about to say, like, for the love of God, can we get this basic stuff to happen and stop doing anything else until it does? I want to follow up on Diane's comment about the housing committee. I noticed that the Charter Review Committee was given a list of all the boards and commissions and all that kind of stuff. For some reason, the SHPAC, which I guess is the acronym, wasn't on that list. And I was like, why isn't it on that list? I thought maybe it's just because it's over or whatever. That was missing. And one of the things I wanted to bring up about that is why isn't there anyone from open space or anyone on the conservation on that board? This would prevent a lot of problems if we were able to have integrated interdisciplinary conversations. Cutting people with expertise out of the conversations, legal, biological, public health, all that kind of stuff. It's just going to create more problems that are going to explode here in this room for no reason that could have been prevented. There's also no one from open space and no environmental expertise from the Conservation Commission on the Plan of Conservation and Development Implementation Committee. Why is there no one with any environmental expertise on that board either? Why are people that care deeply about this town and the things we all love not being included in these really important conversations. And related to the housing issue and the rebates and the horses and ponies and all this kind of stuff, one of the easiest ways to get affordable housing is to give people rental assistance or to incentivize people that have workforce housing, like a farm or a school or something like that, to keep that housing affordable. This is the low-hanging fruit, not giving away our public land. We have low-hanging fruit right here that could be pulled into our inventory of affordable housing that is actually far more affordable or even free compared to the unaffordable little boxes that we think we're putting people in that's going to help them when we also have a loneliness crisis and a mental health crisis. So I think we need to really have some serious conversations about what's the infrastructure we have in town, what do people love about the town, and stop trying to fix things that aren't broken. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Junko as the last item person.
No.
Oh, sorry, Carolyn. It's like-
Go ahead, Joan.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. Yes,
Don't
no,
press
no.
the button until I get up there.
No, I'm not pressing. Tom's pressing the button.
Tom's got the button.
I was worried about my long walk with my cane, but it was okay.
That's okay, they're supposed to start when I first start. Just after the, don't go. Just after the new Board of Selectmen meeting, Board of Selectmen on December 1st, 2025 was sworn into office, quote, "Do you solemnly swear that you faithfully discharge according to law your duties as a member of the Board of Selectmen to the best of your ability, so help you God," end quote. Did they convene a Board of Selectmen meeting to discuss ways to destroy the Constitution with draconian rules of conduct with the approval of the town attorney, Bob DiCrescenzo? The link to the meeting I posted on my webpage. Deputy First Selectman Steve Antonio was the worst offender with ways to limit who, what, and when people can speak before the Board of Selectmen in public audience, defying the rule of law. Deputy First Selectman Steve Antonio believes he can make policy that affects the public but not the rules. The rules do not apply to him. Steve Antonio has continually violated the zoning regulations with illegal sign and a land grab for his trailer park without any consequences. It appears the planning department is in fear of imposing any restrictions on his violations having perceived consequences of retaliation with his ability to have them fired. Another issue discussed at the December 1st, 2025 meeting was First Selectman Wendy McDousis ignoring open government that she champions in public by having Democrat members, a caucus of the Board of Selectmen, meeting in an undisclosed location to discuss agenda items and resolutions prior to the meeting to resolve any issues. The members of the Republican Party come to the meeting without any prior notice of the private discussion, and the votes were taken, leading them without any open discussion or resolutions of the public affairs of the town that they were elected to implement. This appears to be a shadow government without any restrictions on their conduct. This is a blatant violation of open government. At this meeting, there was a vote by the Board of Selectmen to continue having legal services to the town with Bob DiCrescenzo. The lame reasoning behind the vote was the fact that Bob DiCrescenzo was in the middle of developing the charter, and the board felt there should be continuity. This is totally preposterous, since there will always be legal activity in the town. Most attorneys are adept at reviewing the issues and continuing the services. Bob DiCrescenzo has served the town for decades with ethical violations and opinions that violate rule of law. The Board of Selectmen failed to provide much-needed change to our legal representation. Colborough Corporation donated 17 acres of land to the town of Simsbury. On this land, the International Skating Center of Connecticut, ISCC, was developed for professional figure skating. At the time, the ICC received a special exception on taxes with a reduced cost in lieu of taxes of $90,000 as an incentive to the first owners. Over the years, with the sale to various businesses, the fee to the town remains $90,000. Currently, the owners of the building, BMW Sports LLC, is a viable, profitable business with a new renovation and expansion of business while they continue to pay $90,000 in lieu of taxes. They purchased the property at 245 Hop Meadow Street and land from Riverbend to build a hotel. The Riverbend sale was $6,250,000. According to town records, BMW Sport should be paying $280,000 in taxes for the rights of for the original ICC building and more for the addition. It appears that this is a sweetheart deal that should be renegotiated. Simsbury has become a casino for the high rollers, giving long-term abatement and reduced taxes to several businesses that should pay their fair share. The tax burden increases with the ordinary people who can barely afford to live in Simsbury, while the high rollers get a pass. Budgets not only affects expenditures, but include revenues that are acquired by the town to offset the increases in the budget. The town has a contract with Chris Latz to manage Eno Farms Poor Farm on Walcott Street. It appears that the contract was reviewed by the Board of Selectmen, town attorney, and signed by town manager. Does not require Chris Latz to provide a financial statement for the Thrive Farm. It appears that the Thrive Farm business is thriving financially, while the poor people are not receiving any benefits. There should be a thorough review of this contract with financial accountability included. The referendum vote for an additional $388,000 should be rejected until the SPAC raises the shortfalls as promised, not the taxpayers. Trailers can be reinstalled and the funds are raised by the SPAC and promised. Vote no. All of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Pat and Twitter at Joan Co. And I'm within the guidelines. That is a wonderful thing. Thank you for listening.
Carolyn.
My name is Carolyn Stewart, and I live at 5 Tollins Circle. I am the past regent and current historian of the Abigail Phelps Chapter, National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. I want to thank Wendy McStutis for this invitation to speak about the Abigail Phelps Chapter is doing for the America 250 celebration. It is an important event and an honor to help educate the public of the thousands of people who have given of themselves and goods during the Revolution. So we here today have the freedoms that we have and should continue to work to maintain this freedom. To remain free, there are rules that we all need to follow. The Abigail Phelps Chapter America 250 Committee began preparations in mid-2022 to prepare to educate the public. In January and February of 2024, Abigail Phelps Chapter, along with the Simsbury Historical Society, arranged to display in the Simsbury and Granby libraries 6 pop-up banners from the Museum of Culture and History about Connecticut people and events during the Revolution that helped influence the war and shape the nation. Then in July and August of 2025, in conjunction with the two libraries, Abigail Phelps arranged to show them in the Canton and Avon libraries. In April 2024, we hosted a rededication of the George Washington Monument placed by our chapter in 1932 to honor the anniversary of Washington's inauguration of April 30th, 1789. We collaborated with the town to move the monument from Hop Meadow Street to Jim Gallagher Way and Iron Horse Boulevard, and then have an elm tree planted next to his monument. October 24th, we hosted American 250 Tea with the hostess all dressed in 18th century garb. In the fall of 2025, in conjunction with the Simsbury 250th Celebration Committee, we presented a program with an interactive participation developed by the state DIR member to help attendees learn about the 4 signers of the Declaration of Independence: Roger Sherman, Oliver Wolcott, William Williams, and Samuel Huntington. There will be a repeat performance of this presentation at the Simsbury Public Library on February 19th, 2026. The Abigail Phelps Chapter has identified over 227 patriots of the American Revolution in our district of 5 local town cemeteries, which will be marked by an Abigail Phelps Chapter placed by the headstone of each of these patriots, with a sign at the gate to inform the public that the Abigail Phelps has placed this flag to honor the patriots of the American Revolution. And patriots are not just soldiers. but persons that have contributed to the success of the revolution, whether it be man or woman. And we have identified 87 patriots in the 3 known cemeteries located here in Simsbury. In conjunction with the Simsbury High School history students, we have developed a list of over 43 monuments and markers in Simsbury, along with the history of each, that will be available to the town for the use in the new website that is being developed and will eventually be under the See Simsbury. We plan to march in the Simsbury 250th Celebration Committee Parade, which is scheduled for July 11th, 2026. I am happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for this opportunity to share what Abigail Phelps is doing to celebrate America's 250th birthday. We look forward to participating in the Simsbury 250th Celebration Committee events. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so next up, anybody else here for public audience? Okay, next up, we have our, did you say, oh, you're just waving to someone? Okay. We have our annual presentation from the Simsbury Main Street Partnership to provide an update on 2025 and looking forward to 2026. So Sarah Nielsen, Executive Director, come on down.
Forgive me, I had a migraine earlier and I'm feeling a little bit loopy with my meds. Bear with me.
Okay.
This may be the best thing yet. Okay, so, first off, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen. I'd also like to thank many of my board members who are here. If you would please stand. Thank you. Several board members couldn't make it, but we have a very talented, well-connected, well-respected board of directors. So,
I was gonna say Andy's on there, so,
so I'm just going to revisit. We have a 3-year MOU with the town of Simsbury. We also have established and adopted work plans with the town of Simsbury. Those have 6 overarching goals, and I'll go through each strategy and the goals with them, okay?
we don't have a copy online, do we? Like, can you zoom in, or is it in the packet, or did you send it?
I mean,
Okay, no, I'm just saying, that's fine, I just.
well, so I'm gonna go.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot, but I'm gonna start, okay, so. Transformation
that's
strategy
better.
number 1, which we believe is the most important, is to retain the existing businesses. A lot of people try to focus on just recruitment of new businesses, but if you don't retain your existing businesses, that's the first, easiest, most cost-effective thing that a community can do. And if you don't have existing businesses, you're not gonna get new businesses because of vacancies. So we've constantly focused on this. This is something that we do year-round. There is no end date. And we do more than just ribbon cuttings. It's easy to do a very splashy ribbon cutting for a business and walk away and say, oh, we took a photo and congratulations, welcome to Simsbury. But we work with them year-round. We work with them on cooperative marketing. We work with them on issues, signage, questions, you name it. And then we do events that support them year-round as well. So one of the things that we've done is for the last, I think, 15 years is we do the Black Friday Small Business Saturday. We call it Shop Simsbury. We started it to try to combat Black Friday, which was taking business and moving it to the big boxes. Every participating business gives if you buy a $50 gift card, you get a $10 gift card as a bonus. And this year we sold 432 gift cards. We kept over $25,920 locally in Simsbury during 2 days to kick off a 4th quarter when the businesses desperately need it. Restaurants and Fitzgerald's tend to do better in this category, but even the businesses that recorded few to no gift cards recorded an increase in foot traffic during those 2 days. We also do for all of our bricks and mortar businesses, as you recall, we're no longer bank to bank. We haven't been bank to bank in many years. We provide services to Simsbury bricks and mortar businesses for free. We are not membership-based, there's no dues, there's no anything. Because of our partnership with the town, we will work with any Simsbury bricks and mortar business for free. They get a free listing on shopsimsbury.com. We have a listing of all the existing restaurants. We have a great listing of services and retailers. They list free events on simsburyevents.com or shopsimsbury.com, but we kept the domain simsburyevents.com as well. I was just telling Susan, make sure she lists. We have over, I don't have my, Melissa.
Yeah.
My apologies. Oh, I do have it. I'll go into the other numbers, sorry. So we retain the existing businesses. But you also need to be recruiting new businesses, new niches at the same time. We have kept the Find Your Space in Simsbury.com. It's again, a free listing, a one-place listing for Simsbury businesses. This is businesses and buildings for sale, for lease, and also franchises that are available. Although we have not had a franchise listing yet. We had 35 lease rentals last year that were listed on the Find Your Space in Simsbury business, and we received at least a minimum of 4 people that rented based off of this website. If you recall, a year ago, we were talking about the fire at 730 Hot Meadow Street, and this listing, the Find Your Space in Simsbury.com, was hugely successful in relocating those temporarily relocating those businesses. We also used it, and we consistently work to make sure that we keep businesses in Simsbury. I can tell you now that we were successful in relocating Simsbury Yarns, who was looking at trying to find a new space. You can talk to the owner, Tracy. We were able to, with our very close work with the Natcherians, we were able to put them in the So Inspired space without anybody knowing. We were also able to help So Inspired sell their business. They are currently reopening, the new owners, in the Sarah Burns space over at Simsbury Town Shops. And we did all of that without any publicity because people didn't want to know, Viv didn't want them to know that their business was for sale. And so we're able to do all of that very quietly.
When is that change happening?
So Simsbury Yarns did a soft opening about a week ago. I will be handling their grand opening, but she wants to
Oh, cool.
get the shop
No,
in
I
better
didn't
space.
know that.
And then So Inspired is still in a very rough build-out mode of Sarah Burns.
They're ripping open the front of the Sarah Burns space so that it'll be a nice loft area and airy. when you
That's
first
great, that's a
walk in.
great spot, so it's good to
But so we're
hear.
able to sell the business and keep 2 businesses in Simsbury, one of which will grow in a bigger space. So we did, again, 35 rentals, listed a minimum of 4 that were rented because of the space, and we will continue to publicize that. We're gonna put some press releases out and hopefully get it picked up in the Hartford Business Journal. I think the more that we can get the word out, the more successful it'll be. So, and we appreciate the town helping to promote that as well. The other thing, again, talking about niches and recruiting new businesses, you received an email from Kelly Beckinsale, who couldn't be here today, but the skating center and the expansion, Main Street helped fight for the expansion. I want to thank, and I've always thanked Mark Nelson, our town manager, George McGregor, our planning director. I think that we worked really hard to make sure that it was able to happen, and we knew that it would only be step 1. The hotel and the other things that Joan spoke about, those will be on a separate entity. Those will be on a separate property. It is not owned by the town, so I want to be very clear about that. So that's all economic development on behalf of the town. You will see, as well as the hotel, we can't go into too much detail, but you will start to see other related developments, I think, that will be great amenities to what they're doing, which is an international sports complex. That's what we have in Simsbury. It's an international sports complex, and what they're doing is huge. I won't take away Wendy's, I know you're gonna report about it in the first Selectmen's report, but there's huge things happening. And not the least of which is, after the expansion, you had the University of St. Joseph come in, and they're starting a brand new D3 men's and women's hockey teams. Right, the home base is gonna be Simsbury. That, again, continues to grow what the vision is for both that property and the adjacent parcel. Nope, still Filippi. Okay, so I want to be very clear, I'm going through the goals. Transformation strategy 3 was the economic growth through downtown Wi-Fi. That is currently unfunded. So we didn't have funds in it, we didn't know what it would be, so I want to be very transparent. It's been unfunded. There's 2 issues. Number 1 is obviously the funding. Number 2 is we've been having trouble. We did get a partial proposal from a town consultant that would Wi-Fi the PAC, which I think is fantastic, but we want the total cost of the downtown because we believe that it would be cheaper to potentially bundle it and do the whole thing versus trying to do it piecemeal or having to do it through multiple vendors. But again, that is transformation strategy 3, but it was unfunded and it remains thus far.
And just the original estimate that we saw was like 25,000 just for the PAC.
Just
and
for
this
the
is a
PAC.
couple years old now, but just to put that out.
Yeah, and again, I'm not gonna go with a consultant. We don't wanna go with a consultant who will just do a piece of that because then you bring in a new consultant and I believe that we will have, it'll be a better package if we can get someone to do the whole thing.
So this isn't a dead issue, it's just
Not dead, we're continuing to look at, again, and by the way, thank you, we're looking at the new vendors that people have been sending us, and then we're also looking at grant funding as well. But we need to know the total cost of the project as well. So again, I just wanna make sure as we're moving through that you see that we're continuing to work on the things that we've contractually obligated. Strategy 4, which is one that I really love, is engaging the Simsbury youth. I know that many of you attended the AP Economics course with Mr. Jeffers. Rich has been doing it, I won't even say how many years, because he's young. He's so young, he's a baby. But it's an award-winning program, and this year's presentation was focused on the former church on Westcott. So, that the Scullys own. So I think that it was incredibly interesting. We also did the first career fair at the Simsbury High School. And that was a ton of fun. We had 33 speakers from different industries. We even had Mark and Franklin attended. Tom Roy was one of our speakers. We've had Chip Houlihan as an attorney. We had an amazing turnout. There were several hundred kids between juniors and seniors. It was incredibly successful for the high school and a ton of fun.
Question that you did the year before, I know that we attended, was
Trade panel.
correct.
Yes, and we're still doing those. So again, we've been working with the Capstone program, and the great thing about the Capstone program is it recognizes that not every student in Simsbury will want to take the college route. And so there, and quite frankly, on behalf of Main Street and on behalf of our construction and our businesses, we need tradesmen. So we did, and we will continue to be doing panels, but we had a fantastic panel. Chris Nelson was part of our panel. We had Bill Walsh from M&M Auto. We had another electrician, and we had 90 kids come through in 2.5 periods. It was incredibly successful, and we're working on other subsequent panels as well.
Fantastic, because I'd like to see that continue and I would love to go again.
We are,
So,
we are, and we'll be inviting you to the second career fair. It's just there was so much. There's so much work getting it going that I forgot to invite the elected officials. It was just the kids, so. Strategy number 5 is to continue the coordinated branding, marketing, and tourism efforts. This is where I had written the numbers. My apologies, Melissa. We had over 1,900 unique visitors to shopsimsbury.com. We had over 1,200 different events, which doesn't include events that are repeated monthly or weekly or yearly. We also run the Simsbury Connecticut page. We have 18,300 members. We have over 4,300 posts. We're the only group that only allows standalone posts from Simsbury-based businesses. So if you're Avon or Granby or what have you, you're not allowed to post a standalone post in our group. It promotes things, events, and businesses that are within Simsbury. We have over 37,000 comments in 2025, and the activity per day ranged between 4,200 to 9,200 per day for last year. So very, very active, very big resource. And then again, we do the shopsimsbury.com website, the Simsbury events, all of those things are listings for free. Strategy number 6 is to create and or partner with special events. I sit on the planning committee for Simsbury Celebrates. I have since the town of Simsbury took it over. The last couple of years I have not been able to go because my son plays basketball that same weekend, but we work very hard to plan it, to execute it, to make sure that the public has a great time. It is the only free, non-denominational event in downtown or in this area. We had approximately 18,000 people attend this past, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We do the Juneteenth event, and we partner with the Juneteenth committee. We also write a grant on behalf of that helps go towards defraying some of their costs. This is the, I think, second or third year in a row, right, Kevin, that we've done that? The third then, that we've done that for them. And then we do our special event, which is our fundraiser to be able to do other things and other programming, and that's the Taste in Simsbury. We've sold out every single year. It's a foodie delight, and we have amazing restaurants like Table 570 from James Chen and others. So.
White House is also there, Bill, thank you.
We also work very closely with the small businesses. We have some really new, exciting small businesses that we've been working with. The Terrafil Mini Mart, we're working with Oleana and Yale, which are the two new father-daughter combo that own the Terrafil Mini Mart. And they're looking, it's so cute. They have tons of things. And then we're working with the health district because they also want to add a food component potentially. So I paired them up with Jason Brown. I also know that the fire district has been in to talk to them to try to see if we can make that the small area to the right a little kitchen type thing. We're working with Corazon and also Frost Hill Farm and Home. They're both in Farms Village, which is great. And we're looking, I've actually been talking to them both about not just doing a ribbon cutting for them both, but really doing a ribbon cutting at the same time and a plaza-wide celebration. They do have a new business that will be opening there, which I can't say yet, but it will have a third new business that will be opening in that plaza. And so really trying to get the public to embrace this is, it's amazing, it's in West Simsbury, it's right near Tull Meadow, and to make sure that they're co-marketing the entire plaza. So that should be coming shortly as well.
You can walk to the Grange for their events from there too.
You can,
Just thought I'd
right?
put
It's
that
like
out
she
there.
paid us. So very briefly, I'd like to talk about two new initiatives. So, again, timelines, we talk about things that we're still working on, things that we're going to be hopefully wrapping up. But we also want to always introduce a couple of new initiatives. So we have two very big initiatives planned for 2026. The first initiative is an open space, thank you, Susan, an office space vacancy committee. I don't think most people realize, but our office space vacancies are over 25% in the town of Simsbury. It makes up the majority of our vacancies. Main Street brought it to the attention of the Economic Development Commission, planning, zoning, the department heads, and they did some research and they agree that we're right. This is a huge issue that we need to combat. It's something that is trending nationally and also throughout the state. It's a mix of people that have, after the COVID era, they never fully went back to work because of the hybrid. There are some companies, like my husband's company from Windsor, that shrunk down. They left Windsor. They've moved to a smaller space in Hartford. We're not going to see the office space rebound. And so what are we left to do? And we want to be one of those communities that is addressing this before others do. Let's get the business, let's redevelop, let's reutilize, adaptively reutilize those spaces. And so what we're doing is we're looking to convene a committee. They will look at all different ways and incentives. I know that Mark's been a big proponent of let's look at what other financial incentives we might be able to have to help them get moving. Let's look at our zoning tools, okay? And let's come together as a community and say we can take this zoning and we can take this financial incentive, and it makes a lot of sense and it helps the property owner. Their spaces are vacant. Some of their spaces, we have what's called a shadow tenant. They're paying rent, but they've already moved out. And as soon as their lease is up, they're done. They're effectively gone. So this is a problem that we want to be working on. We'll be convening a meeting. Thought January, February. I think it's going to be more towards February. And we are not requiring, but we'll be asking for Board of Selectmen representatives. We asked for Board of Finance, and Lisa Hefner put something out. Planning, zoning. I've gone to George, and George has agreed to help me on behalf of the town with staff and others. And we'll put together a community group to address this issue. We'll start with a couple of projects, a couple of different places, adaptively reuse them, make progress, and then move on.
Can I just ask a question on this? And I've asked Mark this question, and maybe you guys can talk about this, but what's the right way to implement a committee like this that includes town staff and membership on boards and commissions, and that is also engaged with our EDC commission? Is it really an external committee, or is it really a town committee that's like a subcommittee? And that's just logistically, how is that supposed to work?
So
And
I'm hoping to
yeah,
discuss
we-
this, but I will say that it is a Main Street initiative. I do think there's something to be said for it not being a town committee. There's lots, I sit on the 250th, I've sat on the 350th, I've sat on lots of different committees where there's been a very big participation. Simsbury Celebrates is another example. There's a very large participation. There might be a town staff member that's included, but it's an external committee.
Okay, you could just weigh in or make sure that, just follow whatever we have to follow.
Excuse me, happy to discuss it. Yeah. I think the issue from my perspective is what outcomes are we looking for?
Yeah.
And
Or a
as
project plan.
you mentioned, I'm a proponent, and I know it's on the agenda for tonight, to talk about the town's abatement policy, which I know Main Street was instrumental in helping us get our first one adopted back in the day, and which now I think needs some updating.
Tweaks.
But, I just struggle with, and we could talk offline, other than incentives, what is it that can really be done? What outcomes do we expect? And we're asking a lot of volunteers from various boards and commissions to come together to discuss it. I'm just not sure I see where you're going with that effort. What recommendations would be made and to whom?
That's fair. Again, I think by having George help with us, again, it's gonna be multiple fold. So you take the Economic Development Committee has done a good job of taking data and saying, this is the vacancy rate, right? So they've codified what Rich and I have been saying to them, which is we have an office space vacancy problem. They've codified it with data. So then the next step is to get interested parties together and you look at pieces, and there'll be different rehabilitation, reutilization strategies based on many things. It could be based on the location. You're gonna have a different strategy for the piece of office space that's close and adjacent to 44 than you would, for example, a piece that might be near Powder Forest or what have you. So you look at location, you look at whether or not the owner is willing to participate. You look at, okay, then is it a zoning issue? Is it a zoning and financial incentive issue? Are we looking at creating, yes, we have a tax abatement, but are we looking at creating, for example, something new, which could be a TIF? Are we looking at creating, so again, I think part of it is the town wants to identify with expert help different potential other abatement or other incentives that may not be a tax abatement. That's number one. And number two, you have zoning. Is it an overlay zone? Is it a zone change? It really depends on the parcel. But if we can get property owners to work together with us, and we've done that. Main Street has a track record. You look at Andes. Andes was not redeveloped without Main Street. You look at Tower Ridge. That was redeveloped, Kevin Casey, with Main Street. You work with those property owners, you engage them, and you get a better result. We've done that up and down Hot Meadow. We did it with 690. We did it with, so that's what we found works from a development scale. And I think adding in some of the town resources, we're gonna need them because we're gonna say, look, we can take you through the rezoning process. Here's the director of planning. He's gonna help us rezone, and this is what he feels is the most expeditious way to rezone it. And in the meantime, this committee and the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance potentially are going to look at different abatements. So stuff like that.
Thanks, yeah, I mean, we're running long, so it'd be good to just have that's high conversation. I just wanted to bring that up because I brought it up to you before.
And then, so again, the final thing that we're doing for 2026 is, again, we go back to, I believe that to be effective, everybody needs to be data-driven. Okay, and a lot of times it's data-driven based on things we know, but we really are moving towards a place where AI is huge, and how do we utilize that to our best capacity? So what we're doing is we're going to engage with Placer AI. Placer AI is it's a data-driven solution for civic leaders. So what it does is it congregates millions, tens of millions of cell phone data. It strips all of the data away. It doesn't, there's no identifiable data except for cell phones. And it uses that and it marries that with platforms, local platforms. And it says, this is who visits Simsbury. It says, this is your leakage. This is where Simsbury is, people are leaving Simsbury and this is what they're going to buy. It says what investments you could have, what are the best public town investments? We looked at the Drake Hill Flower Bridge, we looked at the Simsbury Farms. It's only as good as the questions we ask, but the information is absolutely amazing. Sony, Adidas, BJ's, Google, Mattel, PepsiCo, Citigroup, they're all using this platform, okay? You get, again, going back, event analysis, travel and tourism. We can look at the Performing Arts Center and we can see where people are coming from. We can see, are they coming from their work or from their home? We can see, did they stop and buy something before they came to the PAC? Where did they go after they left the PAC? Did they go to a bar? Did they go out somewhere to eat? What did they do? We could look at Chris Nelson's new property, Luminary. Okay, where are those people shopping? Are they shopping in downtown? Which I bet they are, because that's what it shows, is that apartments within your downtown, within a walkable downtown, they tend to spend more money there. But where are they going? Where are they staying? Where are they driving to? Again, the numbers and the amount of data that we can use is almost virtually endless. We're gonna come up with various questions, including tourism data, event data, sales leakage, property owners, and that will help inform us, the town, the properties, the businesses, on how to better operate. And I'll give you just hold on. So this is just a very small snapshot in a report that we received, and I'm gonna let Rich take it over very quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Favorite,
Sorry.
it tells us favorite places, people that went to Simsbury Square, what are their favorite places to go? And ended up being the Shops Fountain Valley, West Farms, Simsbury Commons, and Bradley International Airport. Then we break it down to they show up, and are they coming from work, are they coming from home? And then once they go to a place like Simsbury Square, when they leave, where do they go? So they go off to the Big Y, they go off to the shops at Drake Hill, they go to Whole Foods. From Drake Hill Mall, where do they go? And it's interesting because the people at Drake Hill tend to come this way, and the people at Simsbury Square tend to go that way. So that gives us some data points. And then just the three companies that are in our downtown district, CVS, out of 140 CVS's in the state, is number 77 in terms of traffic. IGA, which is Fitzgerald's, which is Geisler's, out of the 26 independent grocers, they're number 10. And Jersey Mike's, out of the 35 in the state, they're number 7.
And we have
And that,
pages
we
of
have
that.
more data on.
Yeah, that we're not gonna take up, but I just wanted to show you 2 examples of the data that we're looking at that will help all different sectors, business sector, civic sector, tourism, you name it. And then again, just looking ahead, this 2026 marks 30 years. I want to thank you all. I have seen 11 Board of Selectmen rotations, myself personally.
So we're just passing through as well.
And everyone has supported Main Street, and so I genuinely appreciate it. It started back with Madeline Gilkey and others when I first came on board. But the one consistency is that the town and the Board of Selectmen and the leadership has always supported Main Street, has been very forward-thinking. And we are a nationally accredited Main Street program. In addition to what we do with the town, we are evaluated by the state of Connecticut. We are evaluated by the National Main Street Center, and we are one of the highest performing programs. I sent you that information as well.
Okay, and I will open this up to questions. I'd like to try to be done by 7 if we have questions, just so we can.
7 minutes?
Well, then,
Hey,
okay.
last time I had to sit 45 minutes in presentation.
I don't have any questions.
Do your businesses
Start
get
with
access
Kevin.
to some of the Placer AI data that you were saying? How are you sharing that, or what's the proprietary control with how you're working with it?
So again, the great news is once Main Street purchases it, We will have proprietary access. I think what we'll do is generate reports for the property owners. It can be if there's a vacancy, Nor doesn't have vacancies, he's spoiled. But if there's a business owner that has a vacancy, they can even suggest a mix of retailers that would perform well. For the PAC, we talked with Jeff Dornenberg. He's incredibly excited because he wants to look at where are they coming from, what are they doing, where are they spending their money. So we'll be able to share all of that.
Awesome. On the vacancies, it's a concern, I think, obviously nationwide, definitely in Connecticut and certainly here. And for commercial spaces, what are your thoughts or what are you hearing from business owners regarding commercial to residential changes? And what does that mean for a downtown area if that starts becoming a trend?
So right now, it's still relegated. The majority of our office spaces are not in downtown. They're on the outskirts. I will say that all of my commercial owners are nervous. We have a reval coming up again. They tend to get the brunt of that reval, and so they're nervous. The cost of business, if you take away the cost of business alone, has gone sky high. Everything, insurance, everything has gone sky high. It is so incredibly difficult for a small business owner to stay in business right now. And so.
I think Gord wanted to answer that as well.
Oh, sorry.
Just a 2-second comment.
Yeah, sure.
We just converted 548, was a house 30 years ago, converted it to an office. It was Bob Thompson's office for 30 years. He passed, couldn't possibly rent the thing as office space at this point. Went, with the help of Rich and Sarah, went through the process, converted it back to residential. And the thing the town could do is make that process as simple as you can make it, so that if an owner has something that can be converted, not everything's gonna lend itself to that, but some will. And anything you can do to make that process easier will help.
And again, that's part of that's why we want to really start targeting vacant office space.
Thank you very much.
My question is, I love what you've done. Corzon is one of my favorite Mexican places to go. It's right near my house, so it's.
You're spoiled too.
I'd love for that area to be developed and.
Should be at the Grange more, apparently.
We need a better website to promote that, right?
I know.
My concern is we have a chamber, and we have an economic development, and we have a Main Street Partners. I want to be sure that there's a way for everything to work together, so that we don't have three different. Because I heard the same thing from EDC as far as vacancies and.
That's from us though.
Well, but they're also going a path to find a solution.
No, they're working with us. They're part of.
Okay.
We got them started and they're actually a partner in the office space vacancy.
Okay, so I just want to be sure that we have a cohesive plan to everyone to work together, so that we can, three different ships going in different directions, or make sure they're all,
So I'll just respond very quickly. We have in the 30 years that we've had Main Street, the Chamber of Commerce helped start Main Street. There was a whole bunch of it. You had to have town officials, other organizations, you name it, because the Chamber of Commerce is fantastic, but they do something very different than Main Street. Okay, they are, and he said it before, they're a social networking organization. They do networking, they do stuff. I don't touch that stuff, okay? And I don't take away any value. We've chosen not to do anything that the chamber does. But we've worked in conjunction with each other for over 30 years. We have a much more public-private partnership. We have zoning regs, charrette, downtown parking studies. We've done almost $1 million in grant writing, either with or on behalf of the town of Simsbury. It's a completely different organization. The EDC, again, I've been here 20-something years. I was there with the first iteration of the EDC. That was closed because it was mostly a reporting organization. The EDC it's a talented, amazing group of people, but they're volunteers and it's limited in what they can do. It's limited. I do think we work well together. I think that if you didn't need all three, or at least you didn't need Main Street, somebody would have died out by now.
The reason I asked the question too is because I watched the charter review, and so part of that was to remove the EDC out of the charter. And then I heard the comments from the people who were on the EDC, and there seems like to be some kind of contention between the two. I just want to be sure that we're guided in the same direction.
Yeah, can I just make a comment there? If you listen to it, just because something's pulled out of the charter doesn't mean that it's going away.
No, it's not going away.
Right,
That's-
so it still could be a temporary board or commission. And actually, things out of the charter make it easier to adjust and change to the world,
times.
right, and times. So,
And
so
the
that was
final,
just something I
the
wanted
final
to
thing I'll
make
mention
clear.
is there, I know that there was one person that was more critical of Main Street. He doesn't sit on the EDC. So I do want to be clear about that. I don't want that to become an us or them. But I will say economic development is important. It's the majority of what we do, but we do it within a holistic context that other organizations and committees can't do. It's why we're celebrating 30 years.
And thank you for your work, we definitely appreciate it.
No, and my only comment will be, and I'll pass it back, is obviously the budget's coming up. We help fund Main Street Partnership. We're asked to fund other people. We know that we have all these pieces. That's kind of the struggle for all of us. How do these pieces work best together? I'm glad to see what you guys are doing because it sounds like you really did have a good year and we're looking ahead. But it still, comes down to budgeting and things like that when we get to February and March. Diane, do you have any questions?
No, just one other
Tonight.
comment, because I saw it come out from somebody in the community, is the signage over at the West Simsbury Plaza. Some people find it confusing or are driving by and they're like, is there signs over there about all these new places? And so it's just something that I think would help the businesses over there, is to do some sign improvement out front.
So he does have a unified sign package.
Yes.
The property owner that we work with, he does. I think the turnover was so quick for some of
Yeah.
them that they hadn't had a chance to update it, but
Yeah.
we can reference that.
I just wanted to bring that up
And
since.
Mike is our latest EDC thing, but Mike, would you like to ask any questions or comments or add?
No,
some-
I'm very, as Sarah pointed
Yeah.
out, very familiar with
He's been
how you
around.
started, how you got
Yeah.
here.
Mike was a good part of it, Sal.
Yeah, but you guys do a lot of really good work. I think to Curtis's point, we really need all three groups to be facing the same way, working together and not in opposition, because life is tough enough without having more opposition. But look forward to doing as much as we can this year.
Or everybody fighting over the ownership of the same
I'm
pie.
gonna turn down to,
Well, it's about moving the town forward.
Yeah.
If that's what they wanna go, then you know what, have a great day, goodbye.
okay, and Mark, do you have any comments?
No, just thank you for all your efforts, Sarah. Can you just comment on the budget, your budget for the year? What percentage of your total budget is the town contribution, if you can share that? And I know that when I first became town manager, in my first budget, we increased your funding because obviously, Main Street was a big part of what we needed to do. And full transparency and correct me if I'm wrong, we went from what had been funding at a level of about 50,000
60.
60 for, more than a decade roughly, without anything really in writing in terms of a memorandum of understanding. And we negotiated that MOU, which you've shown us. Can you speak to just a minute about the benefit of that increase to, what is it, 85,000 now?
Yep, it went from 60 to 85. We'd gradually increased. When I started, they had cut Main Street's funding due to lack of activity. I think we were down to like 25. No, it was 25 in year one. And I was able to raise that to show that we were doing a nationally accredited program. It took me 2 years to get us nationally accredited. I will say that it's probably 2/3 right now, if I'm being honest, a little less than 2/3 of our total budget. I will say that it does allow us to focus on helping businesses at no cost, to do things that aren't membership-based, to work with the business community, to work with the property owners. And I will also say that it is positively it's positively affected the tax base. Have only been tasked with talking about what we've done for the past year, but we also, again, Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense wouldn't be here without Main Street. That's when they went through the process. You saw Chad Thompson and oh my God, the even bigger one. You saw them come in and say that. We saved
I found
Andes.
a copy
We
for you.
redeveloped Andes. So.
Yeah, no question about that.
So that's what I'm saying is
I was trying
that.
to drill down on when we increased the funding by that 20 or 25,000. And I was just rerunning the tapes of that Board of Selectmen meeting. And, what was discussed was that Main Street hadn't even requested the increase in funding. It was something that I put forward in my budget, based on the good work that had been done. Can you speak to the importance of the increase? Is that increase so critical to what Main Street's doing now? Because as the first selectman said, I've got a hell of a budget in front of us. This is no joke, and everybody, outside stakeholders, should be on alert and on notice that funding levels in the past are not necessarily gonna be funding levels of the future, because we can't continue to, as we're told by our board of selectmen and our boards of finance, increase the mill rate by, more than our peer town, so.
Can we keep this to
Just wanna
answer
give
to
you
2
the
minutes?
So
Because we're
I would
already
just say
like an
very
hour
briefly,
in.
because I work so closely with all of the departments and the department heads, I will say that I think that you guys have a lot of hard decisions to make. However, I do think that for what we provide for services, for the tax base, for all of the things that we do, it is far less than most employees, like a salary, one salary, much less we're running an entire department. You not only get the benefit of an executive director, but you also get the benefit of the board of directors. You get grant writing, you get all of the things that we do that can't be done through just a municipality, that can be done through a nonprofit. I do think that the increase has been critical for us to be able to take on other programs like Placer AI and some of the things that we didn't have the funds to do. And we would have had to, not bake some, but we would have had to find things to do. And so it's allowed us, Mark, to become much more data-driven, to take on something that we couldn't afford beforehand, and to really start to rehome our mission.
Thank you for that, what I needed, thanks so much,
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
good job.
Thank you.
Sorry if I was a little loopy, I feel
It's all your hard work.
You told me 7 minutes, I'm just.
Did well.
Okay, so now we're gonna ask for items to move to the consent agenda. I'm
Thanks,
looking.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm looking at agenda items A and B with a big thank you to Garrity Asphalt for a huge donation of $10,000 to the social services. And that's under selectmen action. And then under appointments and resignations, I'm looking at A, B, because those are all reappointments. And I was going to leave C and D open because one is replacing elected officials that people have moved up to another board and commission. And also, I just wanted to acknowledge Hometown Hero as of my own recommendation.
I'll
Benny?
move that items under selectmen action A and B, and items A and B under appointments and resignations move to the consent agenda.
Does anybody have
Second.
any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to my first selectmen's report, which is long. I always have to cut it short.
7 minutes.
Move to waive the meeting of this first selectmen's report. I'll withdraw
Yeah,
that.
consent
I'll withdraw
agenda.
that.
I spent a lot of time on this, but it's gonna go out to the public. But the first thing I wanna talk about is Max Nama's making Team USA out of our skating center. He was fourth for a while and he moved to third and he's on the Olympics team and it's the loss of his parents. It's just a huge thing for all of us to cheer on this winter because I already hate the winter. I'm also including as much information as I can here that's factual and not biased on the referendum for the Simsbury Meadows. I did put out a post on my town website that talked about the funding sources, the reason for the additional ask, what the budget referendum question looked like 2 years ago, what it's going to look like in January. And then we had received some questions from a constituent, which were really good questions, so I was going to put the answers to her questions in here. Some of it is if the funding fails, the information I got is that anything not necessary through the DEC grant will be cut, including exterior bathrooms, interior bathrooms, finishing, no paint, carpet, just, like there's a lot in here that was shared, if that doesn't happen.
Bare bones project. Yes.
Pardon me?
It'd
Bare
be
bones. And also, thank you, also if the, why did we just find out about the fire suppression and there was just kind of a discrepancy with the plans between different people and when those were developed. So all that will be in here if you wanna read it, okay? The other thing I wanted to point out, the whole Nod Road Solar project finally was filed with the Connecticut Siting Council and we had a few options as how to respond as a town. I met with the planning director, I was acting for selectman and the town attorney. And the initial option that we took was to send a letter, helped me by George, to say the concerns that we've expressed with the what's the name of them again? I forgot, it just blew my mind. The Lodestar, it's right in front of my face. Those conditions, so we sent this letter, but two of the things that we asked for was A, that their discussion period ended on January 3rd when we were all on break. And also, we asked for a public hearing. They did respond that they were addressing both of those for us, at least in the interim. So I wanted to include all that in here because people were paying attention to this project. Martin Luther King Day celebration, January 19th at 2 p.m. The Charter Revision Commission is meeting on the 21st at 6 p.m. in the Terrafil Room. The Holiday Doors Contest, if you haven't noticed, it was won by the Tax Lodge. I have a couple more things, so just humor me here. I do wanna thank, I know Mark's gonna do it, so I don't wanna take the thunder, so I won't say it. One other thing I wanna say is, I wanna congratulate Hoops and Hops for, I have to find my little blur. I said in here, goodbye to Hoops and Hops. I admit that during the 90s when you guys were open, I was a new mom with 2 young kids, so I wasn't making any bar scene at that point in
Not when
time.
you were drinking.
She wasn't a bladder buster customer.
I wasn't a customer, but I missed out on all that fun time and that it made the Connecticut's top 5 dive bars. Was it Connecticut or nationwide? Just
It
Connecticut?
should be nationwide.
I don't know.
Do you know that for a fact? No.
Nationwide, top 5 dive bars,
yeah.
nice.
So since I've gotten to know Steve and stuff, I have visited Hoops and now I'm an Antonio fan. But I just wanted to wish Steve and his family and the Hoops family congratulations on a bar life well lived. And we look forward to what comes next as long as it doesn't impede your role as deputy first selectman. The other thing I did want to comment, and I'm using my what do you call it? I forgot the word, the pedestal.
Your bully pulpit.
Bully puppet, thank you. I just can't not talk about the state of affairs, and I'm not trying to be political here, but I'm gonna read what I wrote. As our Board of Selectmen issues a proclamation for our country's 250th anniversary, I want to pause to share something that's been bothering me since last week. Like many of you, I watched what happened in Minnesota and listened to the federal response, which left me unsettled and remains a source of frustration because it does not align with what I saw. It's kind of ironic that this is the kind of government activity at a time when we're supposed to be celebrating a major milestone of our country. The other thing that I noticed is that this is just another municipality, Minneapolis, just like we are, and to be told that they're going to leave out local law enforcement and local government in any investigations and decisions is frustrating, especially if it was to happen here. It also hits home that these issues aren't just happening somewhere else. We're seeing things happening in our neighbors' city's doorstep, meaning none of us are amused. As the chief elected official, I'm expected to represent everyone in the community fairly, and I think we should expect that same standard at all levels of government. And as we mark this 250th milestone, which we're doing the proclamation, it feels like the right moment to ensure we represent the ideals that we're celebrating. And then I included some cute pictures of Mabel. So I think I covered everything there, and I'm gonna turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, Chair. I've also got a rather lengthy report, so I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. First of all, I want to thank the board. I want to thank our department heads, and most importantly, of course, my deputy sitting over there, Tom Fitzgerald, for doing for letting me go for a while to get my knee replacement done. And thank you very much to everybody who helped make that a smooth period of time. I've not fully recovered, but I'm doing well, and I really value and appreciate working in a place that supports its staff as much as we all do, and thank you very much. I want to jump ahead on my list and just address a couple things that came up in public comment. First of all, as I let the first selectman know, and also our liaison to the PAC, on Friday afternoon, the president of the PAC appeared and presented in my office a check payable to the town for $932,000 and change, representing, again, nearly $1 million that they had committed to raise as their contribution to the Performing Arts Center project, which is, we all know, is the subject of a referendum that the first selectman spoke about. So just clarifying and emphasizing that from my position as your town manager, the Performing Arts Center, its board, its stakeholders, and most importantly, its donors have met the challenge that this board gave to them when it agreed to support the initial funding request. So I want to thank them for that, and
That was the amount on the referendum
it was
has been
on
met.
it was actually, I think, the exact amount, Selectman Yazley, it was almost to the penny, I believe.
Just want the public to be aware.
Yeah, absolutely. From the town manager's office, a couple of quick things. We had a wonderful holiday breakfast on December 18th. That seems like a long time ago now, but it is something that we do here on an annual basis for the staff. I want to thank those of you on this board that were able to attend and stop in and say hello to the folks and also have some good food. As Wendy told you, our second annual holiday door decorating contest concluded. You know, this was something that, you know, I kind of take a little credit for starting, but we've also made sure that it's the role of the first selectman to judge those doors
For now.
and we hope it remains the first selectman's job, because it really has done a lot, I think, to help tie the role of the first selectman to the rank and file and the day-to-day operation
Didn't know that.
of the town. And so I don't support the first selectman when she suggests that we should have a committee or that
I said,
others should
no,
do it. I
people should vote.
just wanted to let you
Thank
know,
you.
we really enjoyed Wendy's participation in this for both years. And I think that the tax door was, the tax lodge was just fantastic. All of our departments did a great job. A few events coming up that I think are really important, and so I'll spend an extra minute on them. The Zoning Commission and the Planning and Community Development Department will be hosting a community forum to talk about temporary business signs. This was something that we didn't get on to with Main Street, but obviously signage, our rules for signage, what's appropriate, what's permitted, what isn't, has been the subject of recent conversations, even making its way all the way to the Charter Revision Commission. That's how important this discussion has been. And I want to thank George McGregor and others and of course planning for putting this together. The date is important, please save it, January 29th at 6:30 p.m. over at the library. Again, January 29th, 6:30, please pass that along to your constituents, particularly in the business community. Both Main Street and the Chamber are actively advertising that as well, and it's up on our social media. We're asking for community feedback. Also very, very important, and got to slow down here because, she put in a lot of time, but congratulations to Susan Salina, who retired from town government on January 8th after serving 6 years as our Republican Registrar of Voters. We want to thank Susan for her work. I particularly came to know her as a very diligent and hardworking individual that took her job extremely seriously. She was a great, and remained, as she exited, a great advocate for us supporting the things that the Registrar's Office needs, even as the state of Connecticut continues to put mandates on us as a local government to do more and more. And also want to welcome Ms. Bachelor. Is it? Wasn't she on Board of Ed? Board of Ed, and
Yes.
that's amazing. So I want to welcome her aboard as the new Republican. Yeah, that's great. So, Culture, Parks, and Recreation Summer Program. This is also very important. Want to emphasize Culture, Parks, and Rec. All the registration will be held the week of January 26th coming up. Also, this is up on the website and posted. I want to thank Tom Taberski and his team for working to get this up a little earlier, give people a little more time to get their kids and registration in. It's very important that folks act quickly. Special dates and times have been set up for our most popular program areas so that everything goes smoothly. Please check SimsburyRec.com's website. That is different from the main website. Also, we've got a great presence on Facebook for everything Parks and Rec. There's a free skate event presented by Brown Painters and Scott. Mark your calendars for that. And that is going to be on Saturday, January 24th. I am not going.
Sorry, we're all skating.
Because I'll be working on the budget, Madam First Selectman, so I get a pass. But I did want to put that out there because Tom T said that this is going to be a truly special, and again, January 24th from 12:15 to 2:15 at Simsbury Farms Rink. It's just a couple of hours on the 24th, and admission and skate rentals are included. It's a fantastic way for families to enjoy the outdoor rink On the House. And a huge thank you to the team over at Brown Painters and Scott for sponsoring this. I'm not going to go through all of the other events at the rinks, but they all are posted on our website, and I'll leave it to our liaisons to work together to get that out there. The registration dates, I do want to emphasize, date camp registration opens January 26th, and the aquatic programs open on the 27th. And the sports enrichment camps open on the 28th. Finally, Chair, as everybody knows, and you guys know, particularly we're working hard on the budget now. Department head meetings are underway. It is shaping up to be a challenging budget, and that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. So since we're at that end of the dais,
Yeah.
Mike, you wanna start the kick off the selectmen liaison and subcommittee reports?
Sure. I had 2 meetings. One got canceled, the historic district got canceled.
Okay.
So I still have to
didn't
meet
go.
the folks there. No, I didn't go. And I did go to the EDC meeting. We had a lively discussion about a number of issues. And I look forward to, some of the time was spent about them being in the charter or not. They're very concerned about that. And some of the other issues we need to delve into a little deeper to get some explanation going.
Okay, thank you. Diana?
Public safety, we just sent out a reminder to the Public Safety Subcommittee to get their submissions in, because we will be getting the newsletter out this week. It's a little delayed because of holidays in December and people kind of forgot to put their submissions in, but Tom and I are working to get that newsletter out this week. Aging and Disability, there is a Super Thursday event this Thursday, 12 o'clock at the Senior Center at Eno. We've all mentioned the referendum, so I don't need to do that again, but DEI, they have several events coming up. They have a Let's Talk Holocaust Remembrance update on January 27th at the Simsbury Public Library. They are doing the Human Library again this year, and if you are interested in participating or being a book, please reach out. That will be March 28th. They're doing a Veterans Let's Talk update on May 16th, and Juneteenth is currently scheduled for June 20th at the Meadows Performing Arts. They did have a housing forum update. The forum is being considered, particularly in light of recent laws passed in the state regarding housing and teen issues focused event update. The DEI Council is working with Mary at the library on this, and that is all I have. Board of Ed is tomorrow.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm not gonna report on anything. Steve?
I haven't had any meetings yet.
Okay.
Mark kind of covered most of mine, so.
I thought he did.
He was like, I'm here for
I swore.
Parks and
What happens when you don't sit next to me?
I know, I don't get to go, so I'm all set.
Okay, Cap?
Inland wetlands had a continuation of the public hearing on McLean. I anticipate that this will be the last one at the next hearing. I don't have the date in front of me, and I think that's consumed a lot of their time lately. I think that that's the only remaining update, except that I'll thank the first selectman for adding the agenda item as my last action as the previous liaison of the 250th committee, this proclamation today, and I agree about it being a celebratory motion for us, and I appreciate your comments, Wendy, about the challenges that the nation faces. Unfortunately, it's not unique in this time, and during the revolution, I think it was a challenging time where neighbors were concerned about neighbors and which side you were on. Through times like the Civil War that stand out, civil rights movements, and other times were challenging for us. I think that no matter what we're doing, everyone has a right to go home at the end of the day. If you're concerned about your government and you want to protest, there's ways and avenues that you can do that. And for those who are in law enforcement serving their communities too, whether local, state, or federal, those officers have a right to go home too. And so we have to find a way to do our jobs, both as citizens and in service of the public, in a way that de-escalates as much as possible, but respects the rule of law where it is. And hopefully we can find a way to do that in a way that we don't continue to lose life. unnecessarily like this. So that's all for me.
Thank you. The conservation hearing is on the 20th. One thing quick question for you.
Yes,
The
ma'am?
peer review that we ordered, that you approved, can we get a copy of that? I don't think we've gotten that.
It's not, as far as I know, it's not done yet, but we'll make sure you get it.
Oh, okay.
Is it finished? We'll make sure you get it.
It may not be readable or understandable to
I
some of
haven't
us,
seen
but
it yet,
we,
but I
okay,
do want you.
okay. I just wanted to bring that
We
up.
have it? I believe so. We have it, we'll get it to you.
Okay, good, okay. All right, so moving on. The first item is the scheduling of the public hearing for the horses. And first of all, the reason, the horse,
Tax code change, yeah.
this was something that we voted down. I don't remember what year it was. Was it 24?
Last year.
24.
Okay. And I've been asked, and Mark has asked, and I think multiple people have asked all of us, or some of us, to bring this back for a new discussion, a refresh discussion, because of the cost of the work to actually get these taxes to come into the town by the assessor. So, I don't know, Mark, if you want to add anything to that, but we're really just gonna set a public hearing here.
Yeah, just briefly, Chair, I mean, staff recommended it being approved then. The result, I believe, was no action. It might have failed 3-2 with one absence, I think, that night. I think for me, as a former tax collector, it is vitally important that we are treating our taxpayers consistently across the spectrum. And somebody who declares and somebody who doesn't declare, that's the issue we face about the horses. So to me, the only way to assure fair treatment, unfortunately, is to pass this. Because otherwise, we're chasing horses, and it's become kind of funny. The staff joke in the office has been, how much time does the administration want us to spend chasing the horses? But if you don't pass this, we've got to chase the horses, Chair.
Okay, all right, so if somebody could make a motion effective January 12th to set the public hearing regarding proposed amendments to Town Code, Chapter 141, taxation for 6 p.m. on Monday, January 26th. Thank you.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Just is there a willingness among this board to reconsider it if we're actually gonna schedule it and
Yes.
make this hearing? Okay,
Yes,
great, then I'm happy.
that's why I
There's
agreed to
willingness?
move it forward.
Is
That's
there
what I'm-
willingness?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, there is, that's why it's on the agenda.
Great, thank you.
Just to clarify, Chair, if it,
Okay, what?
sorry, just to clarify, if it was the former board, you'd need to bring it back by somebody who voted no, is my understanding of
Voted yes, right?
But this is technically a new board.
It's a new board.
Yeah.
It's a new board.
That's right.
It's a whole new
new
day.
day.
Yeah, exactly. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That one's done. Okay, now the next one is, it's kind of a little, it wasn't clear, because there was a couple of things we discussed when we put this on the agenda that were not included in the packet. So, I will,
I can clarify, Chair, if you want me to.
yeah, yes, you wanna clarify
Just to
that?
be clear, yeah, and it would have been better, I think, it is clear on the memo that's in your packet, but it's not clear on the agenda, I agree. So what the board is considering is recommendation from the SHPAC, quote, fee waiver and tax abatement program guidelines, which is a recommendation that appears, let me just find the exact site, because I brought this report.
Page 11?
Page 11
Yeah, I have it.
of the SHPAC report, which is posted online, and I believe you all have a copy of that. So that's what we're asking the board to take up for general discussion. It's not related to the sale of property or the development of property.
Okay.
It is, just clarification, it's not related to development of any of the property?
Not any specific property, but the idea of using tax abatements to stimulate the type of development that the boards want to see.
So for future development.
Yep.
Multi-use kind of things like that. So I took this, I know it was a recommendation in the SHPAC, and part of my thought was that there is I have it, this is the town policy that Steve printed out, the fee waiver and tax abatement program guidelines from 2021 that we've talked about addressing in a policy revision, which I assumed was going to merge with this property tax abatement to cover because obviously housing and multi-use is business and real estate. That's the thinking that I had, so it wasn't just the way that it was presented
Yeah.
or in public comment.
Correct.
But, so a couple things, this is asking, a couple thoughts on this is how we wanna go about this, and that's why it's here for us to discuss. Do we, Mark has suggested, I think, in here that he's started working on this over the last couple of years to take that and, come up with some planned changes. Some of my thinking had originally been that there would be, we don't do many work groups anymore, but to invite somebody from the Board of Finance, EDC, and even, I was gonna say Board of Selectmen, we have a finance subcommittee we could use too. But just how, and Mark can weigh in on how we'd like to do this, but I wanna hear from people on the board how we think this should move forward. If anybody, do you wanna
I'll
talk?
defer to Selectman Yagler.
I do wonder if, or not wonder, but I do think that instead of looking at this in just a silo regarding the SHPAC and this incentivized rent and income restrictions, that we look at it in conjunction with our whole, if we're going to be re-looking at this ordinance and the fee waiver structure abatement program as a whole, that it should be wrapped up into that. And how we go about that is I do think that there should be a work group, and then that brings back to this board, and then we can just discuss on the dais and have full discussion, and then public input, and I do think that that's the way to go. And instead of looking at it piecemeal here, do it as a whole within the.
Yeah, just wanna point out, this should have been included in the packet, I can send it out, or Tom can send it out. Because some of this it's obsolete in the sense that we did not renew the Business Development Committee because that was kind of just a misused or not used committee. We also talked about not having a fee waiver program and only having, an abatement program. And all the things that housing and retail and everything is basically already in this document. And I think when you brought it to the SHPAC, I'm assuming you guys looked at this as a starting point, correct? So I just, curious, like what other people think and how you wanna move forward on this, if you wanna move forward on it.
Mike had his finger on it
Oh,
first.
Mike, sorry.
I've got a difficult question to ask, so please
Go ahead.
be indulgent. I read this, I don't remember in the SHPAC report, but I very honestly, for personal reasons, do not want the development potential to include the Meadowbrook property. Meadowwood, excuse me.
There's no housing there, so it's
There's
only
no-
for
I
development.
understand. It was talked about a year ago, and I just wanna
That
make
was a
sure.
different item, so we're, for clarification, there were 9 recommendations, if I remember right? We're going through them one at a time and addressing them. That would fall under then, don't take it the wrong way, but asked and answered. We did, in full disclosure, ask because it was the lowest thing. That's already been removed. I don't think it's ever coming back. We had to acknowledge it, and that one has the big check mark next to it. This is a different one for the check mark. I'll say my 2 cents now.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have an abatement policy that we have utilized successfully. EB at one point was considering leaving Simsbury. That was the instigator for us writing our existing abatement policy, and in doing so, they not only stayed, they built more infrastructure here, they provided more jobs.
2 expansions, yeah.
And the long story short is, to dummy it down to my level, it's basically give someone $1 today and we can tax them $2 from 5 years on forever. That's what an abatement policy is to me, is an investment in your future. Everyone is being solicited to development, whether it's housing or commercial or whatever. And you have to give people tools to solicit development within our town. Granted, we want it to mesh with our desired future
design of our town. I'm not saying it's a free-for-all like housing, everyone's automatically gonna be like, oh, you wanna bring more apartments. It's not necessarily where I'm going. My point is, we need some tools in the toolbox. We have this tool that's in the bottom of the toolbox, all dusty and dirty and somewhat functional. I think we need to like clean off our tool and make it viable again. Speaking from my own experience as a business person on that side of the thing, I'll be honest, it's tough to do business in Simsbury because our mill rate is very high. I mean, I don't want to talk, out of turn, but it costs a lot of money to invest in Simsbury. When you invest in Simsbury, our mill rate's high. You need to be able, as a business person, to rationalize that investment in a community over X number of years. The abatement makes it viable, whereas without an abatement, it's harder to justify investing in our place versus the other guy's place. So that was my 2 cents.
So the question is, how do we wanna start looking on this? And I know Mark would like to take it and draft it. I've suggested input from other boards. Would we feel comfortable letting Mark draft something and then inviting those people to the table to do a review before it comes to our board?
Of course, and I wasn't suggesting that we
No,
not.
I know.
I just didn't, I kind
Block.
of balked at the work group, only because we're in budget and I'm thinking resources, but having worked on a draft, it wouldn't be a big lift for our team to get a draft out to key internals and electeds and say, please submit written comments to the town manager's office within 30 days. And then we can get together and this board could take all of those comments with staff's help and go through it, rather than formally creating another group that has to have meetings that everybody can attend and, I'd just rather circulate it for comment, if that's okay, Chair.
I did have one question for you though.
Yeah.
Do you have time to work on this in between the budget? You were kind of
Only
saying.
because it's 90% done, Chair,
Okay.
yes.
So how about if we ask Mark to create a draft, give us an update when the draft is complete, and then we can decide how we wanna participate and go through the draft? Or
Yeah, and
first
then
setup.
this board would just ask for comments from other stakeholders.
Well, we might wanna do something like more, like a smaller group, that's kind of still what I'm thinking.
Up to you.
What smaller group, just for clarification?
Well, I was gonna say, I thought a member of the Board of Finance, member of EDC, either members of us or our finance subcommittee, which already exists, just to have people sit down to ask questions before it comes back to us for probably a public hearing, I would think we would
I
have.
think you need the 90% to become 98% before we ask for
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's too many
That's
cooks
fine.
spoil the broth.
So I'm fine with that. Is everybody, I mean, I don't think we need to vote on it, we're just kind of asking, well, we can vote on it. I'll ask.
I don't know what we'd vote on today, except that we're hearing that management wants to know that he's going the right direction to improve on an abatement policy that we sort of already have.
Okay,
Which I'm hearing from this board that we're accepting of using abatement as a tool and a strategy, not just for business development and all that stuff for commercial properties, but also for residential, which is what the SHPAC was recommending.
Yeah.
My only take, and I know that I've said this before, and I don't need to be a nudge, but I think that the now this board really needs to look at the totality of all those recommendations as a whole. And I don't necessarily agree with the strategy if we do take them as piecemeal, because I think that they have to be sort of wrapped in all as one. And if 2 is done and we're done with that, then that's okay when we start that conversation. So as we're going with this and we're asking Mark to develop this with staff and come back to us, I think it would be worthwhile time for us to be able to sit down and actually do an analysis and build out a strategy on how we're gonna do implementation now of the recommendations that came from SHPAC.
so I'll take that and I'll say, why don't you and I sit down and talk about that for a future agenda?
I would be happy.
How does that sound?
Sure, absolutely, thank
Okay,
you.
you can rationalize, I could rationalize, we could come to an agreement and figure out how we wanna move forward on
Yeah,
that. Does
it's
that sound
it's a
good?
larger discussion because it's a big,
There's a
elephant
lot
to
in there,
eat.
but a lot of it is already being done by zoning, so we can kind of X some of those out, things like that.
At least 3 have
Right.
already been accomplished.
And we've kind of
by
asked
zoning.
Mark to initialize the look at Farms, which hasn't come back to us, which we
Right.
didn't really vote on either. So why don't we do that?
I think that's great.
Go to across the street, no I'm
I
kidding.
love that, absolutely.
Okay, all right, so
Thank you,
that's,
Chair.
that's that.
Yep.
Okay, the next item is, so the, this question, I'm not gonna get that one, sorry. The ambulance, thank you, I got it, I just, so the ambulance, so, as we all know, the ambulance came to us, I don't know, when, November, before the summer, sent a letter asking.
Yes, that letter was
Was the letter-
August 11th. We didn't put it in the
Oh, you
package.
didn't
yet,
include it,
but-
okay.
But the request was August 11th, Chair, for help on the capital stuff.
So the request was to fund $250,000 for a new van, a van. My initial response was that we were just starting to look at capital improvement plans, that we should kind of look at that in comparison to the other priorities that we had as a town. I did share that at the last SVAA meeting, just so they knew, because they had already ordered the ambulance. So I just wanted to turn this over to Mark. He had asked to bring this to this agenda to see, I guess, what kind of conditions or whatever. So Mark, why don't you ask the questions that you want to ask?
Thank you, Chair. And again, this is similar to the last item, just looking for some policy guidance on the board so that we're using our limited resources in the most effective way during a particularly busy time. This request came in August. You know, I think we've all been aware, and certainly the MOU, which is in your packet, talks specifically about our willingness to, not necessarily financially, but to help SVAA with their capital planning. SVAA, as everyone knows, has been operating on the margins for some time, and the town, this board, the prior board authorized a 3-year MOU, similar to the one we did with Main Street Partnership, to memorialize the help that we were giving, at the same time to require SVAA to be more transparent and include a liaison and to publish their statistics and a whole host of things. I want to report to the board that at least I am completely satisfied with the performance of SVA under the terms of the MOU. They're fully in compliance, and they've been doing what they said they would do. They submitted that letter asking for capital help with the ambulance because it's a financial necessity for them, and they can't afford it themselves. I've been asked, well, how would they fund it if the town weren't able or willing to help? They'd have to take a loan. That loan, the debt service on it would pose a further risk to their operating budget at a time when we're entering the 3rd and final year of the MOU. In your packets, you'll see the MOU, just to refresh everyone's memory, that at the time that was negotiated, the SBAA had indicated to the town and to our finance team that their board felt that they would be more viable and in a better economic position, fiscal position towards the end of it, and they were pretty clear that they thought they'd be in better shape at the end of the 3 years. Their analysis was based on their assessments about potential population growth, an aging population, and essentially they were banking on an increased number of calls for service. I have it on pretty good authority that they're not seeing the increase in calls that they anticipated, and that they're going to potentially need additional operating help beyond the term of the 3-year MOU. Why is that important? Because if this board wants to continue, as it probably does, to support SVAA, it may be important that we pivot to doing that in terms of capital support rather than operating support. I want to take just a minute to explain why I believe that. Any operating support for them can't be bonded. We could pay for it from cash reserves, but if you take that off the table, it's not a bondable expense, and therefore it can't be spread, the cost of that can't be spread out amongst our taxpayers for multiple years. On the other hand, if we were to finance or pay for an ambulance or other capital, ambulance being the key thing they're asking for, that the cost of that could be spread out, mitigating a potential impact on our taxpayers. So I think that, and I just want to be clear that when we negotiated the MOU, there was discussion about helping them with capital as opposed to cash. And at the time, my recommendation was they're so on the margins that buying them a new ambulance isn't going to help if they can't meet payroll, right? And so I was informed of the need for operating expenses. They still need operating assistance, but I do think that they've begun, and I defer to our liaison and to Wendy and to others who are familiar with this, but I think that they've made incremental progress. And I think that what we've got to do is, as we enter the third year, which is the final year of the MOU, I need some guidance from this board as to your comfort level for continued support. And I want to be very candid that my opinion is a little bit different from theirs. My opinion is that SVAA will need support from the town of Simsbury for the foreseeable future. They did not convince either our finance director or myself that after 3 years of the MOU, everything would be fine. That's why we, on the staff side, didn't amplify that. Because we weren't selling you the MOU based on their assurance that they'd be fine. We were recommending it because at the time we needed it. So I just want to be, as we enter budget season, Wendy and I have had a couple of conversations. I agree with the first selectman that we need to consider this as part of our overall budget. I think that's probably the wisest thing. If we decide to help them with the ambulance, we should deal with it on our on capital side, so that it doesn't further impact the mill rate directly, right? I'd recommend we use cash reserves to do it if we're doing it. Which brings us to what I'm really asking for is permission from this board to enter negotiations with MOU for two things. I need a little leverage, probably the wrong word in a public session, but I think what we probably want to do here is negotiate some assistance with this ambulance and potentially a 1 or even a 2-year extension to the MOU. Because our side, we need clarity as to what, we can't go through this every year. So if we are going to up the ante and provide capital support, I would also recommend that you authorize me to begin negotiations to amend or to extend the MOU, because I don't want to bifurcate this and deal with a 3-year MOU, which is operating, and also capital. It's got to be dealt with together. An example very quickly of what you could do is you could say, yes, we're going to help with the ambulance, but some portion of the 160, which is earmarked, as you'll see in your paperwork, for next year's operating, needs to be renegotiated, right? That's beneficial to our taxpayers in next year's budget, which, as we just discussed, is very tight. If that 160 were to be reduced, say, by 30, 40, 50,000 in return for our capital fund of the ambulance, we're increasing our support to SVAA, but we're decreasing the impact on next year's budget at the same time. And that would be a strategic move that I'd recommend to the board. And I'd happy to answer any questions on this, remembering that obviously this is all a negotiation. And we want to support public safety, but at the same time, the numbers these are big numbers.
Can I just make a comment
Please.
here?
Yep.
And I thought of this after we put this on the agenda. The SVAA is coming to present next meeting.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense to kind of move this discussion after we hear from them, their finances and their concerns and their needs, and have a kind of conversation with them? I was just putting that out here.
If I may, Chair, I would just say that I think not, only because their presentation is retrospective on what they've accomplished in the prior year, as opposed to what the challenges are for next year. If you look at the Main Street MOU, for example, we had Ms. Nielsen here talking about the year in review and all the things that they achieved. I wouldn't want to deprive SVAA of that. I think they have an important message in terms of their the improvements that they've made, including on the transparency front, on the public engagement front, and other things that this board or your predecessor board worked to approve. So I think I'd recommend doing it differently and let them do their presentation, and then maybe have the discussion about their further financial ask in private, at least initially, because at the end of the day, we have to negotiate something, and that's challenging in a public setting.
I was on the board with Wendy and Heather, and we worked on
Did a good
the
job.
budget as far as SVAA, and part of that negotiation, we discussed, were the numbers realistic? and they were pretty confident that those numbers were realistic. It's a little disheartening. I mean, you can't control the situation, but to be so far off. I know that we talked about the capital and the town allowing or to purchase the vehicle, the ambulance, and the tax benefits of that. But I hope that we can get to some real numbers so that we're not surprised, because we are in a tight situation where we don't know. We're trying to budget for next year, and so to have something thrown upon us that isn't real, it's hard to to justify. And I know a lot of people have reservations about us funding the ambulance association, and maybe we should go private with that. It's just a little disappointing that we've kind of stepped on the ledge, and then they kind of, it's just.
Have they formally asked us for these increases? I mean, and I don't wanna, I'm just throwing that out there, but Diana had her hand up, so I don't wanna cut her off.
So, well, and I think to your point though, like to everyone's point, I think as we look at this, and I can't say I'm surprised that with Mark's assessment and where we were and having to extend this, and that they're not going to be where they thought they wanted to be coming into our third year, which begs the larger question of what are we going to do about this? Because we can keep band-aiding this, and we can keep extending this MOU, and we can keep, but that is not a sustainable long-term solution. Public safety being first and foremost, having a reliable ambulance service, quality service to our residents, to be available when they need it. How is that funded? How is that gonna operate? And how is it moving forward? The way that it is set up currently, and this is not a knock to SVAA and the service that they provide and the quality of service and the quality of individuals that both work and volunteer there, is extraordinary, and we do have extraordinary service here in town. However, the model, the way it is set up, in my opinion, is not sustainable. And I think it is a larger discussion that we need to have of what is going to be the long-term solution for this. I do think that we need to really dig in and ask for comparatives. I don't believe privatizing is the right way from every research that I have done in the quality of service. But then what is? And we've floated out is regionalization. But I think this is a larger discussion. Yes, we're at a point now that we have to Band-Aid again in the meantime, but I think it is our responsibility to really look at a long-term solution, so that as these requests come up, they're part of, we know they're coming. We know that the ambulance is needed, we know additional, we know that, are we at the point that larger, long-term staffing is now required, for that second ambulance. All of those things should be part of this larger discussion and dictated by the decisions that we make to protect the citizens of our town and provide the public safety requirements that our town and taxpayers deserve. So this is just a concern I have. Where it comes from, I don't want to further burden our taxpayers and have a tax increase to fund this. So we have to find mechanisms to prevent that, but also to make this a sustainable,
So I think,
partnership.
thank you. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is,
I got one more
you
though.
got a finger up, okay.
So part of our MOU is we're supposed to provide them with assistance for their capital planning.
Yeah,
We did.
where is?
Where is it? I
Not-
mean,
not-
we
not-
have a whole finance department.
No, not monetary, but we put their executive director in touch with our capital and with Amy and with Melissa to get guidance on what they should do. I think that was really why we got this request, I think from their perspective early, from my perspective late,
No,
but
but the ambulance is coming in 30 days, so I think it's.
they went ahead and ordered it because they absolutely
did,
need to
You
have
know,
it.
it still seems like we're Band-Aiding everything on top of, we're Band-Aiding Band-Aids at this point. And, they need a capital plan that has the capital they need within it. Until we have a cohesive want, needs, and viability, I can't see voting on this, I'll be honest. I wanna support SVAA, let me just be upfront. I am a supporter of them. But I think I need to see a whole plan, not this, hey, I ordered a new car, can you pay for it? Cause I can't.
Well, that's what I was
You
saying,
know,
like, we
that's-
should have known, like, we, in the plan, we would have seen this
Well, I
coming.
wanna see
This
the
would have
whole
been-
plan. When's
Right.
the next car gonna need to be replaced?
3 to 5 years is the life expectancy for the vehicle, Steve, so I did ask that question, and you're absolutely right. Ideally, and I think with a larger organization, you'd expect to see a pro forma, what are your capital needs for the next 5 years, just like our plan. I think, I don't wanna speak for them, but I think that ambulances are essentially the only capital that they need, unlike the town, we've got trucks and cop cars and buildings and roofs and, putting the ambulance on the road is essentially their capital plan. I think if I wanna put as a positive a spin on this as I can, just to be fair, and that is that 2 years ago, their number one priority was making payroll for those that are funded, keeping the lights on and keeping the service on the vehicle. It was a critical situation, I think, and we did well as a team here to give them that MOU. And to Curtis's point, I know I share his disappointment that, all is not suddenly better 2 years later. But if you look at where we are now, I think that providing help on the capital in lieu of at least some of that
I'm on
operating.
board with that.
might-
I just wanna see a.
I just am asking for permission and guidance to at least have those conversations, knowing that that might impact our budget this year, as the first selectman has said, we've gotta deal with this as part of our budget. So if we do help them, there's gonna be takeaways on the other side of that equation.
So another just nuance, let's just say, and I'm not implying anything by this, it's just a query. We buy a new ambulance, we give them this $250,000 ambulance today. Do we have any recourse, or did we just give them the gift? Who owns the ambulance? Do we have any stake in
It's a
it?
great
No, that's a
question.
great question, Steve. That's mine.
The board makes
Can't
the.
take, it's mine.
No, it's mine also.
Like anything else, that the board makes the contingencies. I believe that my recommendation would be that we own it and we lease it. But I'm not an attorney, and I will tell you that in my 30 years of experience, that my guess is our town attorney wouldn't like that. And because when you do that, you have ownership of the vehicle, but you are that much closer to the risk and litigation.
Correct, you
if
have to
something
also
happens.
carry the insurance and the liability.
I just wanna say, I always wanna remind folks, I don't have a law degree. I do see where you're going with that. There's other ways to accomplish that. You could have a lien on the property and return of it based on certain things that might not put you in harm's way from a liability standpoint. But I think the fundamental question for tonight, with respect is, do we have these conversations? If we do, is your town manager the appropriate person to have the conversations and then report back to the board? The budget is due to you in February. If this board has appetite to provide help, I've gotta kinda have a sense of that now.
So are you talking $300,000 for this year?
I'm talking more,
160
no.
plus two,
No,
150?
I'm talking,
Oh, 250, so it's.
I believe, as I think all of you would probably agree with me, you've gotta look at this, in toto. You really can't just say, well, this is 160 in the MOU and now you're talking about another 250, right? We can't do that. You've gotta blend it, put it back in the blender and send me back to work a deal that makes sense. That would probably, almost certainly, it would increase our support next year. But that could be in the form of capital, which would not immediately impact our mill rate or our taxpayers. Potentially, you could offer the ambulance in lieu of some portion of the 160, reducing the pressure on next year's budget. I wanna be clear, this current fiscal year was funded by opioid money. It didn't hit the mill rate. It was essentially off budget. Next year, we don't have that opioid money, and the coming year, the 160 hits operating, there's no avoiding it. And so I see this as an opportunity to perhaps renegotiate that third year, and in return, accomplish what Wendy was talking about, or maybe it was you, Stephen, I'm sorry. We can't do this 1 year at a time, you gotta have a broader.
But respectfully though, if they need the 160, I mean, we can't renegotiate, even if
the one.
It's 250 for the ambulance,
I get it.
and we have 160, they need the 160 to operate. So we can't put them together, I mean, we can't take them separately, they need the 160 to operate, so we
I
can't.
would say to that, Curtis, you're right, but remember the 160, that number was negotiated 2 years ago. I don't know
Well,
to what
Probably
extent.
more than 160.
Can I just say a couple things? No, so I'll just be perfectly blunt. I mean, I'm not comfortable just saying, yeah, let's go look at an MOU to see what new increases or funding we're gonna do. No, that's just me as a consensus. If there's a broader consensus to do that agreement tonight, that's fine. I just don't feel like we have the information, I've heard that from everybody, to just say carte blanche, go figure out how much we should give them, because it's not good for our taxpayers. Yes, it's good for public safety, but we're saying go look at a way to spend more money on the ambulance service without them even telling us directly that they need it, and that's kind of where I'm going. They're coming to present next week, 2 weeks. They should tell us, I mean, it's not just a rehash of 2025, it should be a projection, and if they know that their numbers are not going to work, I would think that they should tell us, as one thing. The other thing that I would say is, if they don't feel comfortable telling us here, we have a public safety chair, we have a town manager, we have a finance director, we have a first selectman, and they have a board of directors and executive director who could sit down to talk and map it out behind the scenes, as we have in the past, prior discussions, to figure out what they really need and then come forward. And that's how I feel, and I'm obviously not against public safety. I'm a supporter of the SVAA. I'm going to their meeting Wednesday night, but I think that's what I heard here tonight. And if I didn't hear that here tonight, somebody say something that doesn't match that.
I think as much as I would like to give a blank check to the SVAA, we can't do that. I think that's irresponsible of the town to do it. I think we have 2 weeks before they come before us again. In that 2 weeks, I think we let the town manager attempt to renegotiate a new MOU and adapting some of the comments that he's heard, and see what he comes back with, and if he needs to pull in the people you talked about, Wendy, I think that's great. But we should know, and personally, it is insulting that somebody just says, oh, by the way, Dad, I just bought a new car. I need a blank check from you to pick up the keys.
For $250,000.
And I think that is incredibly poor behavior on their, or poor practice on their part.
So what I'm hearing you say, Mike, is the opposite of what I said, I think. And if somebody wants to really take a motion on that, you're saying go do the MOU and then hear from the board of the SVAA board next meeting, and I'm saying let's hear from them and get in public and working with the town manager and find out what you really need, and then tell us if we really need to renegotiate the MOU. So I'm hearing something different than what I thought I said.
When you put it that way, I guess it is different. I don't wanna wait 2 weeks to find out that they're gonna come in and tell us everything is, unicorns and whatever it is.
Well, they shouldn't lie to us because they need the money, and if they're.
If it's retrospective, they don't know where they're going.
Right.
And
So
having been in the private world, all you can do is hope and plan going forward, but you've gotta base it on something.
would it be beneficial prior to them coming to have Mark, myself, you, and their board meet before they come and present with us, so that we can get some of these answers, and then that could be, we can flush some of this out, we can figure out where we need to go, and they present, and that then becomes public as part of the meeting next week, but that we make it clear that we need some of this information. Very clearly that we need this information presented to us.
So I'll ask right now, I'll ask for a motion if people want Mark to work on an MOU now before the SVAA comes to us and there's a discussion on that.
My concern is more mechanical about the sort of the funding mechanism and along the lines of what Stephen was saying on the ownership piece, because I'm not clear on that. And Mark, could you help me to understand the capital portion if the financial part of this is a transfer? So
Well, yeah,
how will we
yeah,
be able to
great,
fund it
great.
through a capital side if it's really not ownership and us owning capital, that we're just transferring the money to them?
We would need to find some mechanism to protect our interest in the asset. And I'd need to talk to the town attorney to give you a definitive answer on the best mechanism to do that. Obviously, there needs to be some mechanism there. I will say that the reason I suggested, dealing with this in toto is that on the capital side, you could use cash reserves if you wanted to, and most likely that would be our recommendation. Therefore, thereby avoiding an impact on the adding more to the operating budget next year, right? Just getting from this board guidance as to whether you would be, to what degree you have an appetite for helping them with the ambulance. But one thing I neglected to say before, they did start their own
Right, I was gonna
campaign,
mention that.
right? And so they are actively pursuing a capital campaign, just like the PAC did. They're not just asking for us to buy the vehicle. My understanding is that they've raised a significant amount of money towards it. I don't know the exact amount. I certainly don't have any objection to any member of the board, joining me in the discussions with them, either their executive director or their board. I think I get the sense from looking at their quarterlies that they are very incrementally improving their condition, slowly, and that they wouldn't need additional operating help were it not for the fact that they need the ambulance. And
And we've asked for it,
yeah,
right? I mean, that's the other part of this, is that we've asked for it because there's a public need.
so maybe the answer here, the consensus is, as Mike says, we start with those conversations and the first selectman, give me all the help you can give me, whoever wants to join in those conversations. I think that would be helpful because, if you delay giving me a green light to at least go down this path, by the 26th, I'm only a couple weeks from dropping the budget. I don't have a whole lot of time because if the decision is made to help them, it's gonna impact our capital plan across the organization. So,
Well, we know, yeah, I guess I keep saying I don't feel like I have enough information. I know about the ask for the ambulance, which is what I thought we were more gonna talk about tonight and find a way to balance that against the ask for the 160. That was kind of how we talked about it earlier, to offset the 160. Now, what I'm hearing tonight is it could be asking for more than the ambulance and the 160. And that's not what I heard, Mark, when we talked about this before. And we also, you did bring up the donations piece, which you had also mentioned that if they're gonna raise $100,000, then maybe we ask for $100,000. We haven't had that discussion either.
Right.
And I know that's part of the MOU, but it sounded like the MOU is to just figure out how we can give them the money that they need, that we don't know yet for sure that they need. They haven't told us that.
So I think what I'm hearing in response to all this stuff is really that we do need more information. And we need to ask Mark to gather this additional information to provide these other scenarios for us. And I have concerns about the funding sort of source and mechanism that you were describing, because I'm not sure how we would functionally fund it through capital if it's not owned by the town, unless there's another example.
it's a tough question.
Okay.
We'll get an answer.
So we're gonna try to pull information together. We're not considering any changes.
We want him to my understanding is we want him to convene the conversations that are gonna move this forward and bring in this group for additional support on this so that we can come to an answer. Because we also don't make a final decision until we vote on the final budget. All the other stuff is just in the ether until the budget's voted on.
True.
Good with me?
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. If that's the consensus, I appreciate that.
I think it did.
I think it
thank
did,
you.
but it was a very circuitous.
Yeah, it was a lot of different. Okay, so we're gonna move forward to move.
Thank you very much. We're good.
All right, so now
Something nice.
we're gonna issue the proclamation. So Kevin brought this to me Kevin, I've told you this too. I think you could still be on the 250th.
No problem.
I added me and
I'm
Steve.
scheduled for you heard it on the 19th.
I'm not wearing that hat.
Oliver Wolka is gonna be representing in the declaration reading again.
Okay.
Some of my
I thought-
favorite pictures.
I look
I
forward to
thought she was
seeing you
gonna-
all there.
I thought she was gonna show a picture of someone with that hat on.
I have shared that picture publicly.
Wait, and are like all the same four people gonna
I
reenact?
think that we are, yeah. I think you're
Why
right.
is that picture in the post office, Kevin?
It was on a milk carton, actually.
I just need you to stand next to Andrew Sharp.
So let's read the proclamation that Kevin brought. He asked me to do some updates and put this on the agenda. And you wanna just start reading? I always say that.
You want me to start?
Go ahead. I'll
Town of
just-
Simsbury Proclamation 2026 as the 250th anniversary of the United States. Whereas the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the formation of the United States of America will occur on July 4th, 2026. And
Whereas Simsbury, founded in 1670, has contributed
Stop, shh.
proudly and significantly to the history of our nation and our state for more than 356 years. And
Whereas in 2016, the United States Congress established by joint resolution the America 250 Commission to encourage observance of the 250 years of our nation's existence. And
Whereas the governor established Connecticut's semi-quincentennial commission with Executive Order 22-02, and the commission has determined its mission and purpose is to develop, encourage, and execute an inclusive celebration, it's my language, inclusive celebration, commemoration, and observance of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence through civic, cultural, and historical educational events and programming. And
Whereas the commission shall enhance tourism, economic development, history, and civic education, historic preservation, and outdoor recreation within the state. And
Diana, go back this way.
whereas America 250 Connecticut will engage Connecticut residents in all 169 municipalities through local 250th committees and affiliate organizations through its culmination in 2028. And
whereas preserving, studying, and enjoying state history strengthens communities, builds pride, and forges bonds between Connecticut residents as we work together toward the goal of equality and recognition of unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And
whereas it is appropriate that Simsbury engages fully with our past and looks toward our shared future that ensures our inalienable rights are guaranteed and protected in the Constitution. And
whereas the Simsbury Board of Selectmen thus encourages its residents to engage in programs that will commemorate the history of our town, our state, and our nation.
Now therefore be it resolved, I, Wendy Maxudas, first selectman of the town of Simsbury, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the people of Simsbury, hereby proclaim that Simsbury will embrace the commemorative activities leading up to and through, this says July 11, 2026. I kind of wanted it to just say July 2026.
We did say July in the email, and I'm okay either way.
Okay, I just, if it goes over, are we okay if it goes over?
It's my wife's birthday, so it's an auspicious day.
Okay, so,
And
and
that is
I think
great
it's already
for her.
printed, so I'll leave it in, because Franklin already printed it, had me sign it.
Okay,
But
great.
if it goes over, we can make a friendly amendment. Kevin, do you want to read the motion?
I'll move effective January 12th, 2026 to
motion.
issue a proclamation in honor of the United States of America's 250th anniversary.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. Look at us doing perfect timing on that.
Perfect timing.
Like it went back and forth.
Oh, I know, I planned it that way.
why don't you bring it up?
And with this.
Oh, I have to do the appointments now. Okay, so we have some appointments. I just want to make just a quick announcement on the rest of the appointments, that the plan is to have them come on January 26th. There was information that was not fully conveyed to the list of names that we got for the boards and commissions, and we received some unaffiliated voters to fill some spots, and that will happen on the 26th. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. But the first item is, where's the, trying to get to that page. I like paper for the meetings. So the Zoning and Planning Commission, they're replacing elected officials. And so I'd like to ask for a motion January 12th to appoint Alan Bradford as alternate to the Zoning Commission, Pete Harrison as alternate to the Planning Commission, and Don Colantonio as an alternate to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I do have one. It's come up about Peter, who I know is well respected and you know understands this area. But is there a concern, or is there somebody that can share with me if there is a conflict of interest regarding what he does for work as a paid lobbyist and serving on planning? If I can get that clarity, that will help me with the vote.
Well, why don't we move it forward and then we can send it to the town attorney, and if there's an issue, they'll have to renominate somebody.
On the conflict of interest form.
Yeah,
and
whatever,
all
he
that.
can research it, because he's done that with, there's been people on other boards and commissions. So I would just say, at this point, move these people forward and send it to the town attorney and see if there's any conflict, because we only heard from one person and I don't really know.
We had that happen with another appointment recently with not to call it out, but one of the resignations we accepted today is because it would end up being a
Yeah.
conflict with coterminous service, so that I can understand and appreciate that. So if there is not a legal conflict of interest in that, I think it's appropriate that this board, unless there is a problem with the nomination, that we accept the nominations and make the appointments recommended by the town committees, and so I'd be willing to vote.
Okay, so let's, with that condition, all those in favor, we had a.
Yes, we have to vote.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Tom, if we can send that to, just, because we only heard from one person who asked if there was some sort of situation, can we send that to,
Wendy, I'm gonna abstain from that.
okay.
I'm uncomfortable, but
Why, are you on those, or you just don't wanna?
I'm uncomfortable while individuals graduate.
Okay,
Nominated,
okay.
excuse me. So I'm just gonna
So we
abstain.
have five
Five
to
zero.
abstention, and we will investigate that, and if there's an issue, we'll let the Democrats know that they need to make a change.
Thank you for
How's
letting
that?
me ask that question. Thank you.
Sure, so and then the appointments to the Hometown Heroes, I wanted to have this opportunity because there's been quite a bit of change on this. We've had people on this board and commission that for over 10 years. I wanted to give new people an opportunity. This is in my realm with approval of the town manager. So I do want to ask for this motion to reappoint Sabrina. She's a new member as the to the Hometown Hero Selection Committee with a 2-year term ending in December 2027. And then to appoint Jay Willerup as a regular member of the Hometown Hero Selection Committee as a previous Hometown Hero with the term ending December 6th, 2027. And then Amy Sheehan, owner of the Coffee Spot, as a business leader, as a regular member of the Hometown Hero Selection Committee with a term ending December 6th, 2027. And Jane McAlpine, who is the executive director of the Historical Society, with a term ending December 6th, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Great appointments.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, it's exciting.
We're gonna have great, we will have great refreshments at the Hotel Hero.
Well, it's only me and Mike are on
No,
that.
but at the ceremony, we can have great refreshments.
Within the contribution limits, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the minutes for December 15th.
So moved. Second.
Second, what's, any discussion, any changes?
No.
All those in favor, all those, you
Aye.
have a change? Oh, I thought you had a change. All those in favor. So I asked this
Aye.
question before, I need to ask for a motion to move to 2 executive sessions. And I asked for the names of who's going to these, but I don't have them. Pursuant to CGS 1200 2B, discussion of pending litigation, Simsbury Commons versus the town of Simsbury. I don't want to read that whole docket number, with the Board of Selectmen, town manager,
Deputy town
deputy
manager.
town manager,
And the town assessor.
and the town assessor,
Correct.
okay?
She's, we can get her in as soon as you go into executive session.
Okay, but I can move to both executive
And a
sessions.
continuation for the purpose of discussing a personnel matter.
Thank you, with, the board,
Except, everybody except Francine, the same people.
is Eric Gomes coming?
No.
Okay, so just the people that are in this room other than Francine.
Correct.
So that motion's on the table.
So, second.
Oh, okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye,
Chair,
okay.
could we have
Thanks, John.
a 5-minute recess
Yes,
before
we can. I
Thank
gotta
you.
stand up.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town.
bringing us together through local programming,
Education and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community.
Ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings.
And celebrating milestones.
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret,
People have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SEM receives less revenue.
Even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SEM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.